Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you love cruising, breathtaking scenery, hidden gems, and unforgettable adventures, you're in the right place. Today, I'm going to take you along on one of the most incredible cruises I have ever experienced. A celebrity silhouette reposition cruise from Cape Liberty Bayonne, New Jersey, all the way to Iceland. Before our cruise adventure even began, we decided to turn this into an even bigger vacation, flying into New York City 2 days early. We always recommend arriving at least a day before a cruise whenever possible, especially with an itinerary like this one. It gives you a peace of mind in case of flight delays. We stayed at the Embassy Suites by Hilton, New York, Times Square. It turned out to be a fantastic choice. The hotel included breakfast, which was a great way to start our day. One of our favorite parts was also the view from our room, looking out the window, the entire New York skyline, and the Empire State Building out the other side. During our 2 days in the city, we packed in as much sightseeing as we could. Of course, no visit to New York would not be complete without spending time in Times Square. With the bright lights and everything and the energy, it's definitely the city that never sleeps. Everywhere you look, there is something always exciting that's happening. We decided to eat at the Hard Rock Cafe. Of course, they have some great staples there that you know you can count on. And we also decided to take the ferry out to see the Statue of Liberty up close, even though we would later sail past Lady Liberty on the Celebrity Silhouette. Seeing her from the ferry gave us a completely different perspective, and standing at the base of this landmark was an unforgettable experience. We also visited the 9/11 Memorial and the World Trade Center site. Walking through the memorial pools and seeing everything was just an incredibly moving experience. The area is beautifully designed as a remembrance and reflection, and it's something that we definitely believe that every visitor to New York should experience at least once. So this is the old train station in New York, and those are all the terminals. After 2 amazing days exploring New York City, it was finally time to head to Cape Liberty Cruise Port in Bayonne and board the beautiful Celebrity Silhouette and begin what would become one of the most memorable cruises I have ever taken. I will tell you, this was just not another cruise. It was a journey through history, rugged coastlines, remote Greenlandic villages, towering glaciers, some of the most beautiful landscapes on Earth. And if you've ever wondered whether a reposition cruise is worth it, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this is one of my most favorite vacations ever. You do not have to experience the first portion of jet lag getting over to your destination. Before we go on, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so that you'll never miss another travel adventure. I love sharing travel tips and the best destinations to help you plan your next vacation. Now, the Cape Liberty Cruise Port in Bayonne, New Jersey was surprisingly smooth and efficient. I have to say, before stepping on to the beautiful Celebrity Silhouette, it was so easy. One of the reasons we do love Celebrity is the atmosphere. It's elegant without feeling stuffy. The food is consistently excellent, and the service is astounding. After exploring the ship and enjoying lunch and getting settled into our cabin, it was finally time for sail away, and it was beautiful. The Cape Liberty and Manhattan skyline was amazing. Unforgettable moments. Sitting area. Bed. And we have the odd-shaped balcony that is right by the extended balconies. So we have extra room cabinets above the bed to store things, nightstands on either side, drawer space, flat screen TV, refrigerator and safe, closet, concierge. You get umbrellas. We have a lot of hangers. We also get binoculars, bathrobes, slippers, and because we are Elite Plus, we get 2 bags of laundry per person. And then we passed the Statue of Liberty during dinner. The captain made a full 360. It was beautiful. The sun is rising on our first day at sea, day 2 of our trip. We are sailing around Nantucket. Days at sea give you a time to truly enjoy everything that the ship has to offer. Amazing meals, relaxing shows, just soaking in the rhythm of sea life. And one of the best parts of this reposition cruise is that it allows you to slow down. You're not rushing from port to port every single day. You actually have time to enjoy the journey. And as we headed farther north, the temperatures became noticeably cooler. The sweatshirts replaced the shorts, and the ocean became a deeper blue. It was just excitement to build on. So here we are in our first port of call, Halifax, Nova Scotia. It was beautiful. We chose to visit one of Nova Scotia's most iconic locations, Peggy's Cove. If you've never been there before, you definitely need to put it on your bucket list. It had a rugged coastline, crashing waves, colorful fishing boats, and the most famous lighthouse that creates one of Canada's most photographed scenes. Walking around Peggy's Cove feels like you're stepping into a postcard. The weather was a little wet. I do have to say, though, that every direction definitely offered an incredible photo opportunity. The peaceful fishing village was definitely authentic, beautiful. You definitely need to climb carefully because everything is very slippery. You can enjoy the ocean and appreciate the beauty of the Atlantic of Canada. Hey everyone, we are here in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and right behind us we have our ship that's docked. We couldn't take a video yesterday in Halifax because it was just a little rainy. It's rainy and cold here as well, but not so bad. Our next stop was Sydney. It had a welcoming small town atmosphere. It served as a gateway to the famous Cabot Trail. We did not do a tour. We just walked the beautiful waterfront. You'll find friendly local shops, wonderful views overlooking the harbor, and it was just a relaxing stop before continuing farther north and, of course, the world's largest fiddle. After an extremely rainy and drizzly day and gray, this is what we see right now. A super bright sunset. The next destination was one that I was especially excited about, St. John's, Newfoundland. It was colorful, it was historic, it was full of character. I have to say I would move there right now if I could. One of the first things we did was hike up to Signal Hill. The climb was absolutely worth it. I think we had calculated the most steps we've done in any one of our hikes. Standing on Signal Hill overlooking the Atlantic Ocean gave you such an appreciation for how rugged and beautiful Newfoundland really was. The hiking trail around Signal Hill was very well maintained and offered spectacular views in every direction. There were multiple hiking trails. There were some that were easy, moderate, and difficult, of course. If you enjoy photography, you'll definitely want to bring your camera because every turn offered another incredible viewpoint. After exploring the trails, we made our way into downtown St. John's. One of the highlights was Jelly Bean Row. These brightly colored homes have become one of Newfoundland's signature attractions. Walking the streets literally felt like walking through a rainbow. Each block was unique, each house was brighter than the last. The downtown was great. It was full of local shops, restaurants, coffee shops, and a ton of friendly people. One expected surprise, I will say, was this dollar store that was within walking distance to the cruise port. If you have forgotten any last minute travel essentials, this is the place to go before heading to Greenland because it's the perfect place to stock up. Crossing the Labrador Sea was beautiful. As we began towards Greenland, the temperatures dropped. The scenery was definitely more dramatic. You would see whales, seabirds, and icebergs. Lots of icebergs. It was definitely unforgettable. There he is, right there. Look, yeah, he keeps popping up. Oh my goodness, we are so close to this huge iceberg here. So we arrived in the beautiful town of Corkatock, small community surrounded by mountains, water. We we took an excursion that took us to the Valsey Church and nearby Viking ruins. The stone church was preserved despite being very old. We stood among the ruins that brought Viking history to life. I have to tell you that it was amazing because you could begin to imagine what life was like for the Norse settlers living in such a remote part of the world. We then went back to town and continued our adventure. For our afternoon excursion, we did a high-speed RIB boat in search of icebergs. This was easily one of the highlights of the entire cruise. The small inflatable boat allowed us to get remarkably close to these massive floating icebergs, and each one looked different. Some were bright white, some were shades of blue. They had incredible shapes carved naturally by wind and water over centuries. The silence surrounding these giants was surreal, and only the boat and, of course, our discussions were interrupted by the stillness. It was an experience we'll definitely never forget.
Can you guys guess an iceberg this size? How long will it take to completely melt?
The whole summer.
Will it melt at all?
So what happens when it cracks like that and there's like a fissure and then it splits apart and then does it just fall off into the water? Has it ever fallen off when you've been in the water?
Yeah, but we were in a great distance. So an iceberg this size, I will say 2 months to completely disappear. The white part of the iceberg is a mix of between frozen snow and air bubbles. The blue part is just water that is compressed.
The next day was truly something special. Waking up, getting in a workout, and going through the Prince Christian Sun. We were told by the captain that for several years, the cruise ships had been unable to safely navigate this incredibly narrow passage because of the heavy ice conditions. But this year, everything aligned perfectly. The weather cooperated, the conditions were just right, and our captain carefully glided the Celebrity Silhouette through one of the most spectacular waterways on Earth. Cliffs on both sides, waterfalls pouring down the mountains, massive glaciers galore, stretching into the distance, icebergs floating all around us. Everyone lined up to see this the entire day as we passed through. There was not a bad view anywhere on the ship. Most of us even said this had to be the most beautiful scenic cruising day they have ever experienced. And then we were on our way to Iceland. So our next stop brought us to northern Iceland, and Akureyri was our port. We went on the Diamonds of the North excursion, where we passed by the magnificent Godafoss waterfall, often called Waterfall of the Gods. It's one of the most famous waterfalls in Iceland. And even after seeing many waterfalls, this one was definitely unforgettable. Next, we explored the dramatic lava fields. Its landscape felt like we were on another planet. Black volcanic rock stretching in every direction. Our next stop was Godafoss, one of Iceland's most powerful and dramatic waterfalls. It's located in a national park in northeast Iceland. It's fed by a glacier river. Unlike many of Iceland's waterfalls, which are surrounded by lush green scenery, this was very stark and an otherworldly landscape. We continued on, and where we ended up having lunch at a local restaurant. We enjoyed authentic Icelandic cuisine before continuing on our adventure, where we went to the Whispering Canyon and saw towering cliffs around us. Everything was just absolutely beautiful. And then we continued on to Husavik, this charming coastal town. had become famous not only for whale watching, but also its beautiful scenery and many movie filming locations. After exploring, we returned to the ship, and the great thing is that we got to pass by the Godafoss waterfalls once again. Seeing it a second time was just as impressive, and it had to be one of the most beautiful excursions we've done. It was a long day, but it was worth it. So our next Icelandic port brought a completely different experience. We stopped in Ísafjörður. We booked another RAB boat excursion hoping to see whales. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had different plans. We had strong winds, extremely cold temperatures, heavy rain, and very rough seas. Our small boat bounced through the choppy waters as everyone held on tightly. It was an adventure we will never forget. We were not lucky enough to spot whales. We did see one breach, but we did see quite a few puffins. And of course, when we got back, we had to have some hot chocolate to warm up from our trip.
And so this is the terminal here in Iceland. You have to disembark that way, walk around this way to get to your taxi. And so this is customs here at the Iceland cruise port. And so that's the cruise port. Short little walk around here to the taxi.
So our cruise eventually came to an end in Reykjavik. However, instead of flying home immediately, we extended our vacation and we rented a car and we ended up exploring around Reykjavik. We dropped off our luggage at Hotel Island and we spent the day exploring the vibrant capital. I will have to say that some of the sights were just beautiful and absolutely breathtaking, and you definitely have to go to Broad & Company for the viral Icelandic cinnamon roll. And of course, the famous Icelandic hot dog.
So here we've arrived at Sky Lagoon, Iceland. It was really interesting getting here. You can actually see downtown Reykjavik there. We had to go through this really weird industrial part. It was like just a bunch of businesses in order to get here. And then all of a sudden, here it is.
We spent a couple of hours that afternoon in Sky Lagoon and went through all of the rituals. Well, I skipped a couple because I was not going to do a cold plunge, but it was one of the most beautiful experiences ever. The thermal water was so therapeutic. Everything was beautiful, clean, relaxing. We were in a toss-up between Sky and Blue Lagoon, and we chose Sky because of the reviews, and I am so glad we went with this choice. Later on that evening, we decided to explore the Golden Circle. We wanted to head towards the Thingvellir National Park. It is an UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's one of the most important places in Iceland. It's where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates have slowly pulled apart. We were actually able to walk between the two continents, and it was truly a unique experience.
Okay, so we are currently walking between the tectonic plates here in Iceland. I think they call it Thingvellir National Park. And you have North American plate on one side and the Eurasian on the other.
That night, we decided just to stay put in our hotel and have a nice dinner. So the next morning we got up, we had a nice breakfast in our hotel, and we started driving south towards Vik. The drive alone was definitely worth visiting Iceland. Around nearly every corner there was a breathtaking waterfall. We saw the school bus cafe.
So here we are at the school bus cafe on the way to Vik. They've actually taken an American school bus and turned it into a coffee shop. It's a little bit crowded in there though.
We then had to drive through a good bit of horse country before getting to our first waterfall.
At the Sel Jalandasfoss waterfalls, they have a gift shop, a little snack shop, and some porta johns. Lots of tour buses today. And we're gonna take a little hike, see one waterfall, 2, 3, maybe 4.
You get to walk behind this waterfall, so definitely bring a poncho and waterproof shoes. You will get wet.
Hey, you wanna come here and give me a hand? Or not?
This is cool though. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I knew it'd be dry back here.
What?
I knew it'd be dry back here. And then a picture of us or?
Yeah.
Very windy. Wanna do it?
A short walk away is the Glufrebru. You don't want to miss it. Many people do make the mistake and don't walk over to the other waterfall. It was amazing. You actually have to walk through a crevice in order to go into the cavern of the waterfall.
This definitely became one of my favorite waterfalls, or my most favorite waterfall, when we've seen a lot of waterfalls. Continuing south, we stopped at an ancient Viking cave before making our way to the black sand beach. For lunch, we stopped at the Stronden pub, which was a wonderful restaurant overlooking Black Sand Beach. We enjoyed the incredible scenery, and I ordered traditional Icelandic fish stew. This was actually the view from our seat in the restaurant. It was a great spot, and I think a lot of people actually miss it when you can have a great meal with a great view. On our drive back to Reykjavik, we were able to pass by the crepe stand, so famous in Iceland, and pass by the other side of Black Sand Beach, the one that has the sneaker waves, and of course, another location where they do a lot of filming for movies, more waterfalls, and then we passed by the Skogafoss waterfall again, which was absolutely beautiful. And then we got to see something that not a lot of people get to see. Stuck there in the side of the mountain, and then right over here is a fence of bras. And it's called the Fence of Bras here in Iceland. You definitely don't want to forget to take some snacks home and maybe a little friend. That morning, we drove to Keflavik, and we were able to return our rental car super easy, and we got a shuttle to the airport. I will say that a lot of people don't know there are 3 security checkpoints in leaving Iceland, so make sure you give yourself plenty of time after you go through TSA. Until next time, happy cruising, safe travels, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Don't forget to like and subscribe.